around there right now.
Well, Xoli, it's quite an exhilarating thing to see. Unfortunately, we can't film inside there, but I can tell you there are TV screens, different monitors, almost something like what we have in our newsroom, different channels, there are phones, there's all kinds of signage. But I'm going to bring in then the communications director for the North Carolina Republican Party, that's Matt Mercer. So you can just tell us about what's happening here. Of course, North Carolina is one of the battle states. It's really, really close. What are you looking at now? What kind of phone calls are you getting from those who want to vote for you?
Sure. So what we see is great enthusiasm for President Trump and Republicans. We get folks, just had a little bit ago, someone walk in looking for signs. I think almost all of our signs are out at this point, but really it's talking to voters, making sure that they're voting early. We've had great turnout during early voting here. And so you're just continuing that through when that ends on Saturday and then on Election Day next Tuesday, making sure anyone who hasn't voted yet knows where to vote, when to vote, and what time the poll's there. And we look forward to having a great night on Tuesday night.
Are you satisfied with the early voting process? We visited 2 stations. I mean, there are differing views. It's a really close election and people feel quite strongly. Some don't really want to see Trump emerge. What are you saying to them to make sure that they vote for Donald Trump?
Yeah, so number one question you ask people is, are you better off than you were 4 years ago, where you've seen prices have increased over 20% here in North Carolina. You have illegal immigration from the southern border and the crime that's come from that. You have our standing in the world. You have basically a new war that started every year under the Biden-Harris administration, whether you're talking about having in Afghanistan, in Ukraine, in Israel right now. The world is not as safe as it was when President Trump was in office, and so we're really looking forward to pushing that message, because nothing would change from the past 4 years by electing Kamala Harris. It would need to get back to the proven Trump policies, and that's really the message we deliver to voters.
And are you getting any kinds of calls from potential voters? I see there's a lot of people working their laptops. It's quite busy in the door behind you. What exactly does it take then to put a process like this together in a battle state such as North Carolina?
Sure. So you never have enough people and you never have enough time. And so what you have to do is prioritize where you're trying to reach as many voters as you can, whether it's people here answering phones, making phone calls, going out, knocking on doors, making sure that people vote, and then tracking all that information as well. And so what we're able to do is really see day by day who has voted and who still needs, maybe that one extra phone call or reminder or that text message or whatever that method of communication is to make sure that they get out and vote for President Trump and Republicans on the ballot.
I mean, you've taken the states twice, 2016 and 2020, and by and large it's been a red state. But there's talk of, the Gen Z voters voting for Kamala Harris. Who are you targeting at this time?
Yeah, I think at this point it's anyone who hasn't voted yet is a target. So really just pushing that contrast between what these past 4 years have been like and how we can have a stronger economy. We can secure our borders. We can reclaim our standing in the world, and letting folks know that President Trump is a strong leader who will lead our country and really unify our country and not call, half the country garbage as President Biden did just the other day.
We saw that garbage truck. And just lastly from my side, social media has also played an important role in this election. For this state, has it had a material impact? How are you using social media to canvass those votes?
Yeah, we certainly have great social media content. We have folks making graphics, making videos, really showing just yesterday. And in Rocky Mount, you have seen the lines. That's always a great one. They walk and have video of the lines to see thousands of people lined up, and they're excited, ready to go see President Trump. So being very active, and then also using it to let folks know, hey, you're reading this, go vote if you haven't yet. Really delivering that message.
All right, thank you so much. That's Matt Mercer. He's the communications director for the North Carolina Republican Party. We're at the headquarters, the nerve center for where everything is happening. If someone is not clear about who to vote for, they're saying vote for Trump, and perhaps then they might win. He won in 2016 and 2020, but the percentage points are really close, Oli. So as as you could hear from Matt, they're really pushing hard, knocking on doors, social media. It is a battleground state indeed.
It is going to be a very tough race, and the understanding is that the opinion polls are still suggesting, Ziyanda, that it is neck and neck. Is that indeed the firm sentiment on the ground?
Absolutely, and Matt is still here. Matt, there's a question from my colleague, the polls. Are you trusting the polls? Are you satisfied with the polls? Probably the most overpolled election yet.
Yeah, there are certainly polls pretty much every day you look, but at this point, in North Carolina at least, you've got over 3 million people that have already cast a ballot. So really kind of digesting that data, knowing who was still left out there to vote, we really feel good about where we are right now. Obviously, you don't stop working and, celebrate now. You have to really work every day up through Tuesday to make sure that we win.
Do you have your own internal polling? Do you trust it? Does it let you down? Has it let you down before?
I think history has shown that, we generally have a pretty good sense of where things are in North Carolina, and I would just say that if you're looking at 2020 to 2024, there's no certain area or demographic where Kamala Harris is doing better than Joe Biden did. You've seen President Trump make gains across the board, so we feel really confident in where we are in North Carolina. But it doesn't mean you let off the gas. You got to keep going all the way through. Absolutely.
There's no time to relax. And of course, just 5 days to go until that poll ends. And as he's already mentioned, 3.2 million have already cast their votes early. It closes on the 2nd of November, and of course then on the 5th of November is when they're still going to be rallying people here in North Carolina to go out and vote for Donald Trump.
Thank you very much, Ziyanda Ngcobo, live for us in North Carolina. It is one of the battle states among the 7 that are being targeted, and this election quite a tight race, we are told, and we are going to be watching it very, very closely.